Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Lee, and I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. What you're about to watch is one of our Brotherhood breakfast gatherings at Church on the Move. And this year, we're talking about igniting the fire of God inside of us so that it burns brightly and makes an impact on the world around us. And our hope is that this video will fan that flame in you so that you can make a difference. So let's dive into it.
Matt was elected as the 17th Lieutenant Governor of Oklahoma on November 6, 2018. He's the president of the Oklahoma State Senate and is the chairman of the Oklahoma Tourism Committee and the Route 66 Centennial Commission. How many of you know Route 66 celebrates its 100th year in 2026? So it's a really big deal for our state tourism, people coming through. We have friends in the north that say, my bucket list has been to come through and see Route 66, and that's a pretty common theme across our country. His agenda as our Lieutenant Governor is focused on workforce and economic development issues, which we all know those are important in our state. He's also chief marketer of Oklahoma and spends much of his time promoting the state as he travels across. So he has a very big responsibility to promote our state, which also helps when the NBA is winning, like the national championship. It kind of puts a highlight on our state here. As an entrepreneur himself, Matt champions small business growth, and I can tell you, I personally, as a small business owner, truly appreciate that as to have the support from the highest office in Oklahoma. And he advises the Oklahoma Department of Commerce on small business growth, entrepreneurship, and then, of course, workforce development. Matt launched a statewide rebrand, which you guys have all seen in 2020, a campaign that has streamlined strategy and saved us all lots of money. So again, I love that he's a good steward. He has an advertising degree from my alma mater, Oral Roberts University, and I love that that degree is helping him lead in the highest office here in Oklahoma. He lives here in Tulsa, not in Oklahoma City, as a lot of our officials live that are part of the state live in Oklahoma City. He chose to live here with his family, and he's been married for 23, is that right? Years. I've known Matt for many, many years, and we've been in the trenches together on a lot of projects, and I can tell you that he's a diplomat, he's kind, he's intentionally focused on telling the story of this great state with integrity, passion, and great leadership. And I've often found with him in moments, he's usually the most well-liked in the room, not because he's trying to schmooze people, but because he's genuinely interested in people's well-being and what is the best way through. But he does that with his faith first. And that has been really rewarding for me to watch him not hide who he is. I notice when he goes into meetings and he'll be sitting on a panel of something and everybody's wearing their college shirt and he's wearing his ORU shirt along with all the other OSU fans in the room. So I like that he's not afraid to be who he truly is, which says a lot about his character. I also am thankful that I get to call him my friend, and I'm glad to have him here today to tell us everything about his life and some things about our state that maybe you didn't know. But let's please welcome our Lieutenant Governor, Matt Pinnell. Here's your mic.
Thank you. Need that. Johnny Hampton, everybody. The Johnny Hampton. Johnny has absolutely blessed me. Having an advertising degree, coming into state government, wanting to kind of be the sales and marketing director for the state. And tell you, that's a little unique. There's not a lot of politicians, elected officials that run for office that want to focus on those things. And so I do want to kind of give you a little look under the hood as far as what we've been up to as your Lieutenant Governor, give you a few life lessons of what I've learned of being in state government, being an elected official. Sometimes it's pretty easy to be the most likable politician in the room, Johnny, because a lot of times people don't like politicians, and I get it, okay? Probably a lot of folks think that about me sometimes too. But I got to give Church on the Move just some big props, and really just the church community in our city. It is my city. I'm one of the only statewide elected officials from Tulsa that's raising a family in Tulsa. I think I may have a picture of the family that you can pop up for a second. I'll introduce this crew. My wife, my daughter. So I got Graham, Thomas, Claire. So we've got 4. So I'm in the thick of it, guys. I mean, I got one in elementary, one in middle school, one in high school, and one that just started college. So Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. And this is the good stuff. And I loved what the guys said. I mean, let's stop for a second. Yes, great bacon. Every once in a while, a few good speakers. I hope to deliver today. But this is the good stuff. That starting your day off like this with a group of men that you can lean on. I'm going to tell you, if I didn't have it in my life, there's no way that I could, again, raise that family, be a good husband, and then be a great lieutenant governor. I've got kids. My son there on the front row, Thomas, he's at Regent. We're a big believer in that school. I don't know if there's any Regent dads in the room. There we go. Classical education. I could get on that soapbox for a very long time, but it's a great school. And then I've got the other three are Jinx high school lifers. So I hope that's okay that, I'm a Jinx dad. So if you got some Owasso BA boys in the room, we like them too, okay? But we love Jinx. Jinx has been great to us, some wonderful teachers over there as well. So I am truly raising this family. And thank goodness, the girl up there on the far left who just started college, you talk about a lot of prayer, Johnny. A lot of my guys that I hang out with, I said, listen, guys, we got to have some prayer right now. My daughter, she was graduating again. This was about a year and a half ago from Jinx High School. I said she wants to go to Arkansas. And listen, we know this as dads in Northeast Oklahoma. Arkansas is stealing way too many of our kids, right? Because that school offers in-state tuition. I probably shouldn't even tell you this if you don't know it, right? Our University of Arkansas is stealing a bunch of our kids. She went to Arkansas to visit, her and her mom. I couldn't go and I wasn't because I was not supportive of this. And she loved it. She goes, Dad, I think I'm going to U of A. I'm going to Arkansas. And so we started praying about that. And I'm proud to say she is now a freshman at the University of Oklahoma. Hope that's okay as well. I can do this all day long. And again, I know way about the Holy Spirit at the Oral Roberts University. All right, I'm done now. Okay, I'm done. But again, Johnny's getting relocated. I'm asking, I'm selfishly asking about, getting my daughter loving a Oklahoma university. So anyway, I thought it was a pretty fun story because I bet there's some dads in this room that may be going through that same thing. But I love this family, and I'm dedicated to this family. And I'm dedicated to this family because I've been surrounded by men that have had to wake me up from time to time. Over the last, 23 plus years raising this family. So I just want to again reinforce that you're in the right place at the right time. And I hope you get something out of this. It may be nothing that comes from me, it may be just a conversation that you're having around this table. So that's a little bit of my family. I ran for lieutenant governor about 8 years ago. It feels like 17 years ago. But it was about 8 years ago that I had a calling, again, from my men's group of said, hey, you should look at this office. It's tailor-made for you. You should step up and ran for lieutenant governor. And again, a big reason that I did that is because of the brand of the state. And for those in this room that grew up in Oklahoma, grew up in Tulsa, you probably have some of these same stories. I don't think Oklahoma, for far too long, we have accepted just being okay. We put it on the license plate, for goodness sakes, right? Oklahoma is okay, right? I love the Broadway musical too, but I was tired of being told that Oklahoma is just okay. If we accept okay, then in my opinion, we're accepting mediocrity as a state. And we're telling our kids and our grandkids that okay is just okay. And then what? We're going to continue to play little brother to that state down there to the south of us. Forget the name of that state, but it's down there. And I'm going to talk about that state here in a little bit because I think you'll be very fascinated of what is happening down there in that state and the partnership and the opportunity for the state of Oklahoma. But I just, I grew up here. I grew up in Tulsa, Lee Elementary to Wilson Middle School to Metro Christian Academy to Oral Roberts. I'm a Tulsa guy. And I didn't believe when I started going through classes, advertising, marketing classes, I'd say, well, my gosh, I'm learning all the good stuff. Why are we not promoting the good stuff in the state of Oklahoma? I mean, we got to fix things at 23rd and Lincoln down at the state capitol. Of course we do. And we're doing that too. But we should be bragging, like that state down there to the south of us, about what we got and what we do well in the state of Oklahoma. And we weren't doing it. And for me, it started at the state line. Again, as Johnny said, I kind of have a little colorful background as your lieutenant governor. So I don't think you'll have another politician stand up and talk to you about bathrooms. Yes, that was my dramatic pause. Bathrooms. So you cross over that invisible line when you're going on vacation, right? We've all had this experience probably. We cross back over that invisible line. For us, we cross back over from Arkansas. You see that Welcome to Arkansas sign. Usually there's a few people out there with a selfie stick taking a picture in front of the Welcome to Arkansas sign. Now again, this was 6-7 years ago. You cross over our line in Oklahoma, again, before we got elected to office. What did our Oklahoma sign look like? Halfway falling over, all bullet holed up, again, this was my entire childhood. You're laughing because you know what I'm talking about. Halfway falling over, it's faded. You could barely see said Welcome to Oklahoma. And then again, for us in Tulsa, right next to that Welcome to Oklahoma sign that was halfway falling over, and again, I don't know whose great idea this was, it had another sign right next to it that said, Discover the Excellence. Right next to a halfway falling over Welcome to Oklahoma sign, right? And my entire family was our running joke in our family. Well, here we go again. And then what? Then what do we do? Again, that's the welcome mat, ladies and gentlemen, men, to the state of Oklahoma. That's what we're telling people we're all about. First impressions matter. About a half mile, you cross over that invisible line. Every state's got them. Welcome centers. It's a welcome center. That's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. I wouldn't have sent my worst enemies to our welcome centers 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And so when I got elected to office, I literally just started showing up at these welcome centers, and I didn't tell any of the staff that I was doing this, and I just sat in my car in the parking lot because I knew they weren't great. But I knew the bathrooms weren't great in those welcome centers either. So I sat in that welcome center, and I would watch moms and dads, but mostly moms, with 3 or 4 kids getting out of a minivan, walking into those welcome centers, and almost immediately walk back out horrified because the bathroom facilities were that bad. You think that family's going to get out of that minivan another time? They're going to buy a bag of chips and a tank of gas, and that is their perception of our state, of your state, of my state. And I thought that mattered. No other elected officials touched it. No other elected, again, I think we get elected, and again, this isn't just politics, but we get into a place of position, we get in a leadership position. Well, that job's too little for me. That's a dirty job. For me, it literally was a dirty job to say, you know what, enough's enough. And so I picked up the phone and called our Oklahoma Department of Transportation. They thought it was a prank call. I said, I'm the lieutenant governor in the state of Oklahoma. I want to fix our welcome signs that come into the state of Oklahoma. And then I delivered this speech one time to a chamber meeting in Broken Arrow about how poor the bathrooms were. And I had a guy come up to me, never met the guy before, came up to me after I delivered that speech, and he said, I want to help you with those bathrooms. I did not know, and I am being serious, I did not know that guy would be in this room this morning. Hank, where are you? Where are you, Hank? Oh, right here. Hank, hey, wave your hand, Hank. Mr. Bathrooms in the state of Oklahoma. Look at this. Look at this camaraderie right here around public bathrooms. Hank came up to me again. Talk about, again, brotherhood, Johnny, of brothers helping brothers. I didn't know who Hank was, but Hank ran an architectural firm, runs a great firm in the city of Tulsa, came up and said, I want to help you with those bathrooms. Johnny then came on board as well. I've obviously had known Johnny for a long time, but if you want to pop up right now, I'm just going to start just a little bit of flavor. We now have people that cross over our invisible lines inside the state of Oklahoma and are taking many selfies, many pictures in front of something that says Oklahoma. And I think that's a great thing. And that is because of Hank. That's because of Johnny. That's because maybe a politician stood up and said, you know what? First impressions matter. This is a great state, not an okay state, not a mediocre state. And does this matter? I think it does. Because when you go into those welcome centers now and they have the best public restrooms in any welcome centers across the state of Oklahoma, and you have rows and rows of just taking brochures, because we have all the brochures in there, right? Visit Pryor, visit Muskogee, visit Oklahoma City. They weren't taking those brochures before, I assure you. They weren't taking those brochures before. But if a bathroom's nice, if you got a dog park out front, because we put dog parks in all of our welcome centers too, they may take one more brochure, they may stop in Muskogee, they may stop in your hometown, and they do what? They spend sales tax dollars. And sales tax dollars runs the state of Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know it. Sales tax dollars inside the state of Oklahoma pays for all of our police and fire departments. So you may not have thought, okay, hey, there's a politician showing up to talk to us this morning. I wanted to start on bathrooms. Because no job was too small for me as the lieutenant governor in the state of Oklahoma. And yes, many times I'm governor when the governor leaves the state of Oklahoma. But this right here is one of the lasting legacies that I'll have in my time in office. And I now visit those welcome centers, and I go back and I still sit in those parking lots. And I'll just watch a mom get out of that minivan with an armful of kids, and they run to those welcome centers now. I think that matters. The other thing that I discovered when I became lieutenant governor and started kind of taking over our tourism industry, and this is a reminder to all of us in this room, is the DNA of the history of the state of Oklahoma and how special it is, men. I mean, how special the fabric of our state is. Home to 39 sovereign nations alone is remarkable. The Chisholm Trail to Black Wall Street to, yes, Route 66. It is the most unique tourism industry in the entire country. No one can match the tourism industry of the state of Oklahoma. And so, yes, when I got elected, a big theme of my office is play to your strengths. Any business has to play to their strengths. Any office has to play to their strengths as well. And for us, playing to our strengths in the state of Oklahoma, I believe means tourism. It's one of the best tools in our toolbox to invite people to the state of Oklahoma. Pretty special story. Johnny mentioned Route 66. I took a group from the Czech Republic to breakfast a few years ago. They are part of the Route 66 Czech Republic Association. Yeah, yes, there is such a thing. And I said, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was at Ollie's. We all love Ollie's, right? And they pull up, half of them on motorcycles, half of them pull up in a van, and they're just piling out. I mean, it's like a clown car, man. They're just there was 50 of them. And I'm paying them for all of their breakfasts at Ollie's. And the president sits down. His name's Zinnik. He has become a very dear friend of mine over the last 4 years. And I said, you guys got to tell me, what the heck is it about this Route 66? You know, we all see the brown historic sign. It says Route 60. We throw it in your face every single day. He goes, well, for us in the Czech Republic, it's very simple. 35 years ago, we were under communist regime. How quickly we forget. When we watched movies and television shows and listened to the radio in America, that mother road was America to us. Route 66, that main street of America, that was America. And when we were freed from communism, and there was such a thing as a tourist in the Czech Republic, the first trip we took to America was to Oklahoma. That's freedom, men. That road is freedom to international tourists that flock to Oklahoma. All these different languages that are spoken on the streets of Tulsa, Oklahoma, 12 months out of the year, from tourists from all across the world, China, Germany, Czech Republic, Australia, growing markets across the world. They're coming here to Oklahoma to see America. I mean, if you want to see America, you got to see Oklahoma. I mean, we bottle up and sell freedom as a state. I mean, that's truly what it is. The number one question that's asked at those welcome centers when people, because I collect all that data now, they're some of the busiest welcome centers in the country because we're smack dab right in the middle of the country, right? Another big reason why we needed to fix those bathrooms. What do you think the number one question is that people ask at those welcome centers? Millions of people, men, every year. Not, am I going to see a tornado today? Okay? That used to be. I put the weather up on a big board, just smack dab in their face so they don't ask that question. Number one question, how close am I to the Pioneer Woman in Pawhuska? Off the charts, nothing close second place for the last 5 years. And I get it that she's an international TV star. I'm fully aware of that. But stop for a second. What is she selling She's selling apple pies, American flags, and buffalo, right? I mean, she is selling the Americana experience. She's selling a Main Street line with American flags, a boutique hotel. That's what she's selling. That's what tourists around 49 other states, and for sure international tourists, are literally dying for today on planet Earth. They're looking for a state that still believes in America, that still believes in the fabric of what built this state. By the way, the good, the bad, the ugly. You got to tell the whole story. And Oklahoma has the whole story, do we not? And so, you know, I'm coming to you with good news and listen, we got something that we can sell. We got something that brings people to the state of Oklahoma. Let's double down on that. Let's sell that. And that's why people are flocking to the state of Oklahoma today. I mentioned to you the state down there to the south of us, because I got to talk to the men in this room about that, because I know that this room is full of entrepreneurs, small business owners, maybe some that have retired, that retired back to Oklahoma because it's an affordable state to live in. Thank you to the baby boomers that want to live here. But there is something happening in North Texas that over the next decade will be a big narrative across the state of Oklahoma. The march of Dallas to the state line of Oklahoma is now officially here. For all of us in this room that may have, you know, we get on the turnpike and we go down to Dallas. We have to go down there every once in a while to beat a team in football, right? Can I get an amen? We're going to do that next year. Can I get an amen? Yeah. 20 years ago, I mean, it wasn't that much long ago, cow pastures from the state line, right? You pass Durant, you pass Ardmore, cow pastures, Anna, Texas, Denison, Sherman. Those were cow pastures 20 years ago. Have you seen it lately? That's where all the cranes are. North Texas is just growing into Oklahoma. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal this past weekend that I highly recommend, again, for business owners that, again, are looking to expand, you know, relationships with businesses. You got to read it because it talks about this story of how North Texas did it. Frisco, Texas, in 1990 had 6,000 people. Next year, they'll have 350,000 people. Frisco. Again, cow pasture. They had a vision. I mean, I'll give Texas credit. They had a vision of what they wanted to be. They doubled down on infrastructure and public schools. And lo and behold, here we are. But it's an opportunity for the state of Oklahoma because I believe Oklahoma now today is the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Far better than Dallas. I don't want to live in Dallas. I don't want to deal with 2 hours of traffic every morning. I don't want to be difficult to get my kid in an elementary school that they want to get into. I mean, that's what's happening there. All my buddies that graduated with landman jobs, they all graduated, they all went there, and they loved it for about 5 years. They don't love it today. The quality of life is completely flipped. In the Dallas Metroplex area, there's 9 million people there. There's 9 million people in the Dallas Metroplex. We got 4 million in Oklahoma, and I don't want 9 million in Oklahoma, don't get me wrong. But what I'm telling you is people are moving home. The reverse migration is happening. More Texans, think about this. More Texans moved to Oklahoma last year than Oklahomans that moved to Texas. Now we can do that. I mean, we can do that for that statistic. Politicians couldn't have stood up for you in a very long time and tell you that. There's a reason for that. It is the freedom, certainly, that we have. It's the quality of life that we are creating here. And yes, maybe it's a few of the billboards that I have put up in the Dallas Metroplex area. Because I have. Maybe you have seen them. So I talked to you about that 2 hours of traffic, right? I mean, one of the best days of being a lieutenant governor is one of my buddies that lives in Dallas, that was sitting in traffic one day, bumper-to-bumper traffic, saw a billboard that I put up that said, if you lived in Oklahoma, you'd be home by now. Yes, you're welcome. And moved to Oklahoma, right? And my buddy took a picture of that sitting in traffic and texted it to me when I was sitting at the state capitol. One of the best days of being lieutenant governor. It's happening, is what I'm telling you. It is happening. And if we don't take it, and it's a blessing in a lot of ways. I mean, these are people that have the kind of work ethic that we have. A lot of them are Okies that move down there that are tired of it and want to come home. These are people, in my opinion, that we want. With that blessing comes a responsibility. Again, for not just the first impressions, but to invest again in the infrastructure backlog that we have inside the state of Oklahoma, to invest in, again, education in the state of Oklahoma. And I'm not going to get too much on that soapbox. But I do want you to know that, again, if you've been blessed in your business, it comes with a responsibility to then operate that business in a way that, again, is demonstrating not just that you're a person of integrity, but maybe they see Christ. That's the good stuff. That's what it's about. And there's a big story there that's happening. But again, I talked to you a little bit about the brands. I talked to you a little bit about, again, we're a popular state today. People like us. People want to move here. That's great. But if I told you that all of this came without crises in my life, bad days, I would certainly not be delivering to you the full message because I was not ready. Just be fully transparent. I was not ready for criticism. Up until me being elected into public office and being in the spotlight, I did not face much criticism. I'll just be honest in my life. I faced a whole lot of it when I started making decisions. Again, a lot of times politicians don't. They get up, they deliver a speech. It's a bunch of red meat, talking points. People clap, but what have you really been doing? I did not want to lead that way. So yes, we've been making decisions. Some people like them, some people don't. And I really wasn't ready for that pushback. If you have seen a movie called The Greatest Showman, it's one of our favorite family movies. And I for me, as someone who is in elected service, this P.T. Barnum, I related with this man in good and bad ways. But the movie has so many amazing life lessons in it. But there's this great scene where P.T. Barnum is complaining to his wife, that he's not where he wants to be in life. He doesn't feel fulfilled. People don't like him. He's getting pushed back. And his wife, a lot of times, again, we know this, right? It's usually our wife. Can I get an amen? It's usually our wife. It's usually our significant other that brings us some of those hard truths and hard wisdoms. But his wife looks him in the face and goes, honey, you don't need everyone to love you. Just a few good people. Again, you got them right here around these round tables. The culture today in America is rotten in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things I'm excited about these future generations as well. But the dopamine hits that we feel like we have to get on this is toxic in a lot of ways. And we're raising way too many kids in this country that think they have to be loved by everybody. And that's not the way it's ever supposed to work. Ever supposed to work. I mean, it emphasizes the importance of having a supportive inner circle, again, what I'm looking at right now, rather than seeking universal approval. Universal approval is toxic, men. and somebody in here may need to hear it. I need to hear it on a weekly basis because I'm in a position where I feel like I have to have people like me because I got to get elected. And I'm telling you, it hit me like a ton of bricks over the last few years. My gosh, I just did something that somebody doesn't like. And yes, I would certainly recommend to everybody in this room, don't read the comments, right? But for me, that is something that I've had to learn. And I think we all have to learn it. It is stop chasing the dopamine hit on social media. Stop trying to be loved by everybody. A few good people. For me, a few good men in my life, that band of brothers that we were talking about. I mean, that's the good stuff. That helps create that, again, healthy marriage, healthy life, healthy friendships. It's something certainly that I've learned from politics. And finally, I've got 3 minutes left. I always try to talk about a book. I'm a big book guy. Whether you like a physical, I always like to hold something. Again, you may be a book on tape. You may be, again, listening to it. I don't care what it is. But this book right here has changed my life. The Will of God as a Way of Life, How to Make Every Decision with Peace and Confidence, Jerry Sitzer's book. Now, this was recommended, Craig Rochelle, you may have heard of him. He calls this one of the 5 best books that he ever read. And when Craig Rochelle told me that, I said, well, that's good enough for me. I'm gonna buy the book. Life-changing. Life-changing. It helped me change, it changed my whole narrative from, well, again, we're always seeking, I'm always trying to seek what is the will of God, right? And for me, it was always chasing that through my job. Well, clearly, and again, I hope he has put me in this position for a lot of reasons. But you can be in a job that you do not like right now, men. It doesn't matter to God. If you are centered, if you're seeking his kingdom first, you're where you need to be. You're where you need to be. And it really was a light bulb for me. And again, I get a lot of this through reading the Word too. But again, for me, it was this book. It was a big shift for me, and I've read it now a few times because of it. I just want to read you just a few little snippets. What appears in our minds to be the pathway we should take might change as suddenly as weather in the Midwest. So we should be wise to be attentive and responsive to God along the way. Again, this points back, along the way, right now, along the way, even in matters that appear to have little significance, such as crafting good papers in a freshman writing class, or again, putting a welcome sign up. That's not in the book, but that would be pretty cool. Perhaps our attention to these little things is the will of God. And our preoccupation with the future, a foolish distraction. Man, we can be some foolish men sometimes, can we not? God, we're always thinking multiple chess pieces ahead. This right here, your bacon breakfast this morning, this right here is the good stuff. This is the will of God. This attention to detail. And I'm just, it's something that I've tried to focus on time and time again as we move forward. Here's another a great point. As I explain this in the next chapter, I discovered that the Bible says very little about the will of God as a future pathway. Instead, the Bible warns us about anxiety and presumption concerning the future. He assures us that God is in control. Can I get an amen? And commands us to do the will of God as we already know in the present. Over time, I scrutinized my assumptions and reconsidered the conventional approach to the will of God as I had followed up to that point. And then he goes through again the rest of this book about those conventional pathways. I just share this with you. If you haven't read it, I would read it, because it certainly has changed my life for the better. And getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning to come over here, again, that attention to detail, that making sure that you are seeking first his kingdom, and then we're going to leave here and we're going to go rally, we're going to go win the day. God wants us to do that too. But you got to have your priorities in place. And I'll end on this with a minute left. I've been so blessed to have leaders in my life, and I want you to know this because I hope it's it's reassuring to you. I've had leaders in my life in politics over the last 7 years that have thought that way and believe that way too. And at the top of that list is Governor Kevin Stitt, who you talked about criticism. You talked about somebody that's taken on a lot. I mean, I'm raising 4 kids, he's raising 6. But in every cabinet meeting, every single cabinet meeting for the last 7.5 years, he opens us in prayer. Every cabinet meeting. Hasn't missed one time. Does that matter? Oh, you better believe it does. And again, you may not like every decision that I've made, every decision that he's made, but what I want you to know, he is a believer through and through. And his wife is absolutely as well. And so I remember going home to my wife after, the first just few weeks in office and said, I've got a moment in time here, babe, that many lieutenant governors don't have. I have a governor that has cut me loose to go do my job, has no ego about it, And he just opened us in prayer at our cabinet meeting and said, go make decisions, I'll have your back. I assure you that is very rare in politics. And so for the last 7 years, I've taken that. I've taken that torch. I've said, listen, if God, if this is I'm going to try again. I'm going to fail many times, Lord, but I'm going to seek your kingdom every day as much as I possibly can, and I'm going to surround myself with men in my life to try to do it the right way. But man, to have somebody right next to me on a daily basis through the worst flood in state history, through a global pandemic, standing right next to believers, man, it makes a huge difference, does it not? That's why this matters. That's why surrounding yourself, and again, these round tables matters. So I hope you got a little bit a look under the hood of what I'm up to as your lieutenant governor, to try to tell the world that Oklahoma is the best state to live, work, and raise a family. And how I hope to lead as your lieutenant governor with the time that I have left in office. Because we say all the time how blessed we are to pledge allegiance to that flag. How blessed we are to pledge allegiance to that flag. But I thank goodness and I thank God that I live in this state, that it's still a free state with a lot of cranky CEOs in a lot of other states, people want out of other states. I thank God that I'm honored to be able to serve in this role to this state and live in this free country. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for having me this morning. Thank you.